Today's big question: why do oysters filter the water around them? I ask this because their filtration power is nothing short of amazing. A single oyster can clean 50 gallons of water in an hour, filtering out phytoplankton and other particulates. This is great for the oyster since it eats the phytoplankton and other stuff that's floating around in there. But it's also great for us humans since we use those same oceans for drinking, swimming, and, more to the point, for growing our delicious protein-packed crops of oysters. Oysters are just one example of what scientists call a biological filter. These are living organisms like sponges, clams, mussels, missing corals that remove stuff from the water around them, stuff like silt, decaying plants and animals, and even excess nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus. Some of the stuff is removed intentionally as food, and some of it is just an unfortunate byproduct of their life as a filter feeder. In return for their hard work cleaning our oceans, they get to eat all the phytoplankton and other particles that are suspended in the water. That's the simple version of how it works anyway. In reality, the water filtering process starts when the animals draw in water through their shells or bodies. The water passes through a series of increasingly fine filters until it reaches the animal's gills, where specialized cells capture prey and transfer it to the animal's mouth. For oysters, these cells have hair-like projections, called cilia, that beat back and forth to move the water and any particulates trapped inside it into the oyster's mouth. Once the water has been filtered, it gets expelled back into the ocean, cleaner than when it started its journey. And while this is going on, the animals are feeding themselves on all the particulates that they've collected. This is how much of the world's oceans are filtered every day by all the biological filters that live in them. And it's a service that's worth billions of dollars. In terms of removing excess nutrients from the water, it's the equivalent of adding 20,700,000 tons of fertilizer to agricultural fields each year. And in terms of removing particulates, it's the equivalent of taking 17 million cars off the road. But if biological filters are so good at cleaning up our oceans, why do we still have to worry about things like red tides and dead zones? Well, it's because the health of a particular body of water depends not just on the amount of particulates and nutrients in it, but also on the size of the body of water itself, how salty it is, how warm or cold it is, and even how far it is from the equator. For example, in the Gulf of Mexico, there's a particularly large and well-known dead zone that results from nutrient pollution. Even though there are lots of filter feeders there, including oysters, it's just too warm and salty for anything to survive, except the algae that blooms and then dies and creates the dead zone in the first place. That said, scientists are finding new ways to harness the power of filtration in order to clean up polluted waters. In one recent study, published in 2022, researchers at a university in Australia found that combining oysters with another type of filter feeder called a green mussel could help remove even more nutrients from the water than either type of animal could on its own. And when combined with a water plant called water hyacinth, the three organisms were able to remove 95% of the nitrogen and 80% of the phosphorus in their tank. By stacking different kinds of filters on top of each other, researchers saw an increase in the amount of water being filtered and the rate at which particulates and nutrients were removed. It's a technique called biofiltration, and it could be a way to remove pollutants from wastewater before it's released back into the environment. Or it could help clean up areas of the ocean that are currently too polluted for filter feeders to survive. Ultimately, understanding how biological filters work and how to combine different ones to make the most of their abilities could help keep our oceans and other bodies of water clean, without having to do anything more complicated than stacking some rocks. Now you know. Now you know why oysters filter the water around them, and now you know why it matters. Just remember, the next time you see an oyster, it's doing something amazing. It's cleaning the ocean so that we can all enjoy it.